Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another Daily Drop here on TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm THI publisher Andrew Jones, and the topic today, Carolina basketball, specifically rebounding. Rebounding was a hot topic throughout the offseason, a topic of concern largely. Very few people expressed confidence the Tar Heels would be a very good rebounding team, a typical UNC rebounding team. And I know 3 games is a really small sample size, and I know when you play Elon and American in 2 of those 3 games, it's kind of hard to get a really good gauge, but we're going to go ahead and discuss it now anyway. I asked Hubert Davis on Monday over at the Smith Center about the direction they're headed on the glass, and I asked him if he's pleased with that direction. I'm not saying that they're there. I'm not saying that they will get there. But 3 games in, especially when you look at the last 2, it appears they are headed in the right direction. They are certainly trending that way. And Hubert agreed with the premise of the question and said, yes, they are. Now, let's take a look. Right now, overall nationally, they're 74th, which doesn't really matter, but they're +9. That +9 by the end of the season will have them in the top 10 in rebound margin. They're averaging 12.67 offensive rebounds per game, which is 35.8% of their misses. That's a good number, but really good Carolina teams are over 40%. There have been some that have been in the 44% range. So that is a big part of who they are. But guess what? They're playing a 3-guard offense. So if they end up at 35.8% of grabbing their own missed shots with the 3-guard lineup and without having an Armando Bacot in the paint, that's pretty good, because guess what last year's club was? 35.4%. Now, I know 2 of the games are Elon and American, but one of them was at Kansas, and they out-rebounded Kansas in Allen Fieldhouse, 40-39. That's why I think this is a fair topic. They doubled up American, 46-23. That's the kind of thing great Carolina teams do. Again, I'm not calling this a great Carolina team, but I'm looking at some parallels, and I'm trying to get a gauge. That's what we do early in the season, regardless of the sport. So they were at number 38, I think it is, in defensive rebounding. To me, defensive rebounding is a good number, but it's more, what is the offensive rebounding percentage of your opponent? Right now, it's 25%. Last season, it was 24.6%. So, again, it's early, but the offensive rebound percentage of their missed shots and what they allow opponents to do on the offensive glass are about the same as last year. Now, they only out-rebounded Elon by 3, and that had a lot of people raising that flag, especially when Kansas got out to a pretty sizable advantage. I think it was 12-5 on the glass at one point. And then in the second half, the first 18 minutes of the second half, I think it was, Carolina was +6 on the glass in that half. That's impressive to do that when Kansas's hair is on fire and they're playing at maximum level of effort, focus, and intensity. A couple other numbers for last year, by the way. They were at 12.2 offensive rebounds per game. So they're probably in about the same missed shot per game range as a year ago, which is pretty interesting, making a little bit higher percentage of shots. A lot of them in layups. You're going to shoot a higher percentage when you shoot a lot of layups, a lot of transition points. That will probably affect the offensive rebound percentage some, because they're not going to take as many threes and jumpers as the chunk of percentage as they did last year, if the defense gets them transition buckets, either off the glass or getting some steals and forcing some turnovers. And they have done that in the first 3 games. I also want to look at a couple of individual numbers too. It's every person I've talked to about Carolina basketball. What are they going to do about Bacot's rebounding? What are they going to do about Ingram's rebounding? Well, Harrison was at 12. Armando was at 10.3 last year. Harrison was at 8.8 for the season. But Cormac Ryan, and this is important, I put him in here, he was at 2.8 rebounds a game. The reason I put him in here is, A, he's gone. He was a starter at the 3. He's gone. Okay? B, he wasn't much of a rebounder. He wasn't much of an offensive rebounder. He wasn't much of a defensive rebounder. There wasn't any rip and run there. You put Seth Trimble out at the 3. He's a couple inches shorter, but there's a rip and run element to him. I think he could be a very good offensive rebounder from the weak side. He believes so too, and Hubert Davis thinks he can as well. Now, that hasn't materialized a whole lot yet offensively, but I think it will over the course of the season when Seth gets more and more used to playing the 3 a lot when he's on the floor. Nobody else last year was above 3.6. So they had only 2 guys average above 3.6 rebounds per game. This year, Jalen Withers right now, again, small sample size through 3 games, leads him with 8.7. Drake Powell, in just 21 minutes a game, 5.7. He had 11 against American, which skews the numbers a little bit. Jalen Washington, 5.3 a game. Van Allen Lubin, 5.0. So they have 4 guys at 5 or more, and they have 5 guys at 4 or more. I think it's interesting. I'm not finished, though. A little bit more here. RJ Davis, 3.7 now, 3.6 a year ago. It's probably where he will be at the end of the season. He has some flare-up games. He had 7 boards in the opener. Elliot Cadeau, this is interesting, and it'll be certainly worth keeping an eye on this number to see if this continues. He was at 2.2 a game last year. He's at 3.0 this year. He's hitting the boards a little bit more on the defensive glass. It's that rip and run. He gets a board, boom, he's off. RJ gets a board, boom, he's off. Seth gets a board, boom, he's off. And you know what? When you're looking at the 4-man, if you've got Drake Powell as your 4 out there, which he's played the 4 in some stretches so far, he's a rip and run, get the board, boom, he's off guy. He's one of those guys too. And Withers and Jay Wash and Van Allen Lubin, they look for the guards to push it right away. So these are just numbers through 3 games, but I do think it's interesting. And because the way Hubert answered my question is why I decided to do this drop. And I want to know what you guys think. Do you think they're trending in the right direction? You win the battle on the boards at Kansas, and then you double up American on the glass. Teams that are really good on the boards should double up the American University teams of the landscape out there. When you play clubs like that, when they play Campbell late December, they got to double them up. LaSalle is not in that category. They're an Atlantic 10 program. It's a much, much higher level than American and Elon, quite frankly. Although Elon was a big team, Hubert said, hey, they were bigger, and Carolina still out-rebounded them, and certainly Campbell. They won't double up LaSalle. Maybe they will, and that means Tar Heels are playing great. But I would say a plus 12, plus 15, and something like that would be a pretty good number. So we'll keep an eye on that. They got a Hawaii on Friday. Then they go and play the 3 games in Maui. We'll probably know a lot about their trend on the glass once they leave Maui and come back to Chapel Hill, which after they're in Maui, they play Alabama. So that will be another similar type test. Georgia Tech will be a test on the glass the following Saturday. So 3 games in, I do think it's fair to say they're trending in the right direction. We don't know if they're going to end up that way, but the trend is there, and I think it's a pretty positive early sign about where this team might be headed as a rebounding club. If you're excited about them out-rebounding Kansas on the road and doubling up American and the direction that they might be headed on the glass, go ahead and click like on this video. Make sure you subscribe if you have not to our channel. Also, go over to our site, TarHeelIllustrated.com. Just $8.33 a month for a 1-year subscription. If you want to be a Carolina Tar Heel insider, you got to go on over there. Plus, we have a great community for you to hang out in as well. Make sure you tell your Carolina Tar Heel friends that we are here, and also hit the notification bell so you get updates every time we post a video, which is often. I'm AJ, and I appreciate you stopping by.